Hi, everyone. My name is Tom Woodford. I'm going to help you and your children as seniors through this college application process. I know a lot of folks have already started. I've met with a lot of students already. I'm so happy that they have been working hard at this. But hopefully, after sitting through this little presentation, this will answer a lot of questions based on all of the other things that have to happen as well. So let's get started. So all of you have seniors. How did this happen? I know that we just moved off in my house, my youngest off to college. For the last 3 or 4 months, I've been eyeballing her room and other parts of the house to see what we can do to change things, especially since our house is so quiet now. So some of you might have already started doing this. Some of you, this might be your first off to college. You might have a few others around, so you're not at this point yet, but it is coming. And so all of these, Home Depot as well as Lowe's, they know me very well because my wife and I are trying to come up with various projects just to keep us busy. So through this whole process, my job is to help everybody involved, not only our seniors, but also all of our parents. At the same time, all of the counselors at the high school are outstanding folks who will help everyone through this as well. So at any time, if you need any type of aid, feel free to reach out. So let's talk about OSU. I get asked a lot of questions about OSU. Last year, they had over 53,000 students apply to main campus, okay? They bring in a class of around 7,600 students. The average ACT score is a little over 29. Now, don't let that scare you, okay? And these are some other data points about OSU's class last year, but don't allow this to scare you because Ohio State, as well as everybody else all over the country, is going to look at your child on a holistic viewing process. So they're going to look at the entire application, just not ACT, SAT, as well as their high school GPA. But at the same time, I do have folks that always ask, oh my gosh, if my child is not a 4-point student and they haven't scored a 30 on the ACT, will they get to even go to college? As crazy as that might sound, and I'm a huge fan of OSU, but the sun does not rise and set over there on Lane Avenue. I'm a huge fan. My mom's a 57 grad. She thinks it does, but there are 63 other options in the state of Ohio and 4,800 options all over the country. And so if your child wants to go to college, there is a school out there that is the right fit for them. So you're hearing a lot about schools being test optional this fall. There are 1,460 colleges all over the country that have chosen to make this move. Some of them have chosen to actually do it for 1 year, like OSU. Other schools have chosen to not ask for ACT and SAT scores from here on. And schools like OU have made that move. The University of Chicago, they have been test optional now for 3 years. Wake Forest, they have been that way for about 14 or 15 years. So what does that mean? That means if students did not take the ACT or SAT, or if they did and they don't like their scores, then they can apply to Ohio State or all of these schools going test optional, which means you do not have to send them. Now, on their application, they're going to have a place on there where they're going to get to tell the school, are you applying test optional, or are you planning to send an ACT or an SAT score? Some colleges, if your child chooses to take the test optional route, there may be one more essay they may have to write as well. Okay, so if they are going to send scores, it is important that the scores are sent straight from ACT as well as the College Board. It is extremely important that that happens. So ACT has added quite a few dates for the fall. They've even added 2 dates on a Sunday. Here's a slide that will show you the ACT dates as well as the deadline to actually register. The SAT has scheduled a few more dates this fall as well. I know that we have an SAT date this coming Saturday. It is important that you are checking your emails to make sure that the test site has not changed or has canceled that test. Please make sure that students are always looking at their emails. So sending scores. Every year I always have a handful of students that parents call me after a deadline and say, what is happening? My son's application is in, you've sent the transcript, you've done all this. Why didn't you send the ACT scores? Well, high schools do not send scores. Colleges will not accept ACT or SAT scores from us. SAT and SAT scores must come from the testing agency. It is very important that that is done, okay? You don't have to time these up all at the same time because that can't happen. When students are finished with their application, they will submit it. When they take the ACT or the SAT, you have an opportunity to put in schools that you want the scores to go straight there. You get 4 of them for free. They can do that when they actually sign up. But if they want to wait and see their scores, you can do that. But to send the scores later, it is going to cost you right around $13 per school and sent to per score per school. So the ACT and SAT start to get just a little expensive at that time. So on the application as well, a lot of applications might ask, do you want to put your ACT scores on there? You can do that, but if you're applying test optional, then you do not want to put your ACT or your SAT scores on the application. So it's important that kids visit. During a normal situation, all colleges offer opportunities Monday through Saturday with 1 or 2 tours each day where kids sit in a large room with parents and they get a presentation about the school and everything that they're going to offer. And then they actually get a walking tour. Sometimes kids get to meet with folks inside of various majors after that walking tour. But right now, during this time, things are just done very, very differently. Some colleges are offering small group tours, and there's other schools that are not actually giving any face-to-face tours. Everything is virtual and online. I know many colleges have done a much better job over the last 4 months of creating some type of format on their website so you have a better idea of what the campus is going to look like inside and outside, what there is to do off campus as well. And so they're doing the best they can. They have to follow the rules of their state at that point. So take advantage of whatever that school is going to offer. So every year we get over 100 college reps that come out to all of the school buildings. A lot of colleges are not sending these folks out right now. I will be sending out emails like I do every year, every week, and I will include virtual rep visits We will also create other opportunities that various colleges can set them up for Hilliard students. And then those colleges will email those students that actually sign up. I know that I have scheduled something for late September with OSU. I believe it's the 26th. It's going to be at 6 o'clock that night. It will be a live webinar. And so they will give a presentation, and then you will actually, as parents and students, have an opportunity to actually ask a few questions. I will send out all of those links soon. So it's important to understand the terms that are being used. Ohio State has an early action deadline. Early action is non-binding. Students can apply to early action schools. They can apply to as many of them as they would like. There are very few schools out there, a lot of the private schools in the Ivy Leagues, they have restricted early action. That's just telling those schools that you are my number one choice of those 12 or 13 schools. It is still non-binding. However, early decision is a different animal. A lot of schools do not even offer this. Ohio State, they do not offer this option. But ED is when you are telling that school, you are my number one choice. And by rule, if your child gets admitted to that school, that's where they're going, okay? So you can only apply to one school, ED, and by rule, if they get accepted, you're supposed to withdraw the rest of your applications on that following day. There are some schools that will let kids out of an ED app if the finance piece isn't going to work out. So it's important that you understand exactly what that means. If your student applies ED, we as the high school counselor have to sign off on that. We have to let the school know that we have spoken to them. At the same time, parents, you will have to sign something as well, making sure that you understand the rules about ED. There are some schools out there that are actually super scoring, which means they will take multiple ACT tests as well as a SAT test, and they will take the highest sub-score using various tests to create a final score. And so OSU, they will not. They only take the composite score. Schools like OU, they will super score the SAT. Miami will super score the ACT. Case Western, they will super score both. And so it's important when you talk to reps from each schools that you ask them, are you test optional? Do you super score? And things like that. We will offer a virtual college fair every year. This is towards the end of September. I know that all of these suburban schools, we are working on this right now, but we will offer something and I will get all of that info out to you. So the application process. So all of the college applications can be found on a school's website. If the school, if the student is going to use the Common App, they have to match their Common App to their Naviance account. I made a video 2 weeks ago, and I'm very excited that over 500 students have actually watched this already. It's 19 minutes long. It'll walk students through everything they need to do so they can match both of those accounts. Inside their Naviance account, that is where they will request transcripts, letters of recommendation, and things like that. If they're applying to a school that uses their own application, they still have to request those applications or those transcripts inside their student account. And that video walks them through all of that. Again, if your kids are going to take ACT as well as SAT, it is important that they send those colleges their scores straight from the College Board and straight from ACT. So there's 4 different types of applications out there. One is the Common App. This is the one that most of your kids are going to use. There is another application that had some issues last year. There are a lot of schools that used this last year and they are not this year. But the Coalition app is one that about 175 colleges all over the country are using now. Most of those schools, except for the University of Florida and the University of Maryland, also use Common App as well. Many colleges have their own application. And some colleges, like Bowling Green, they use the Common App and they also use their own application. Students can use either one. It is fine. There are about 50 colleges that use the Universal app. I've never even seen this because all 50 of those schools also use the Common App. And so all of those kids use the Common App from what I've seen. So one application is not any better than the other. Whichever one that they use, that's fine. You do not fill out multiple applications for the same school. Those don't want that. All of those colleges don't want that. That means they have multiple accounts and things are going to get just a little messed up. So choose one application for that school. So there's over 50 colleges in the state of Ohio that are going to use this one application. Schools like Ohio State, as well as Otterbein, Miami, Dayton, they all use Common App, okay? All of the forms, sending transcripts, letters of recommendation, things like that, that is done through their Naviance account. Once they match those 2 accounts together, everything in Naviance with the transcripts as well as the letters will be matched up to their application. But students, when they're finished with their application, they submit. They don't have to wait for the teacher to write theirs. They will get theirs written by the deadline and it will be uploaded straight to their application. So this is actually the old screenshot from last year for Common App. It is still at the same website at commonapp.org. Very simple to use. If you watch the video I sent out last week, I will also include it in this email that is going out to walk students how to get started on this, how to match it to their student account, ask for all their transcripts and things like that. Okay? So what should students be doing? It is important that we all are on the same page here. Parents, this is the student's process. Parents, do not fill out the application. Some of you might be laughing right now saying, why are we even having this conversation? Well, watch the news. There's been all kinds of issues over the last 2 or 3 years that have made the news. It is important that the students are taking care of all of this. I would create some type of calendar that's going to have all of the deadlines of all of the colleges that students are going to apply to, so we know when things are due. Every week, students get 168 hours. I know they're very busy with school. They've got a lot going on outside of school with sports and different things like that. But they need to set time aside to work on this throughout the fall to make sure everything is done. They also need to make sure that they get started, that they ask for their letters of recommendation inside Naviance, and they want to give their teachers time to write them, okay? So it's important that once kids are finished with that piece, then schools are going to start letting kids know, hopefully around the holidays, many times during January as well as February, students are finding out. So students are going to hear multiple terms. If they hear admitted, that is awesome. They are in. If they hear this from multiple colleges, they do not have to make a decision until May 1st. If they hear the term deferred, that means maybe. That means they're going to hold on to their application. They're going to read the applicants who are going to apply later, and then they will read that student's application, usually in February. If students get waitlisted, that means something different. That means that they're going to be put on a list. The student has to tell the school that they want to stay on that list. And then after May 1st, those colleges are going to look at the students that have said that they're coming and look to see, do they have any seats that are open? And if they do, then they go to their wait list and offer kids a spot from that list at that time. Admitted students, well, I'm sorry. And unfortunately, sometimes our kids hear that they did not get in. If they did not get in, some colleges have a way that you can appeal it, or they can. What is not a good idea is to send a nasty email to those colleges. That is not going to help. Okay, but if kids want to appeal, they can ask for that. Now, it is important that everybody understands, if students hear that they are in said school, nothing is final until the colleges get the final transcript in June. Senior year does matter. There are many kids that hear that they're in schools in January and February, and then sometimes at the end of June, they get an email from such a college that says you are no longer admitted because something happened with their senior grades, a thing like senioritis kind of steps in and kids stop doing their work and their grades drop. Some kids might not even graduate from high school, so you're not going to be able to go to that college. And there's been sometimes when kids have gotten in trouble, they've made some bad choices. And unfortunately, those colleges have the opportunity to change their mind in June. So we want to make sure that this is not going to happen. So we want to make sure everybody is working through their senior year, but senior year does matter. So typically, when students apply, once they submit their application, they're going to get an email back that's going to tell them, we have received your application. Please send us your transcripts. Okay? That is an automatic email that comes. That doesn't mean get on email and fire off some type of email to the school counselor saying that such and such school doesn't have my kid's transcript. You got to give them time to process things. You got to give us time to get things out. We know when all of the deadlines are. We will make sure everything is sent out by that time. Okay? At the same time, many colleges will have students create a student account once they have applied. So they can monitor what they have. They have the application, they have the scores, the transcript is missing. You'll be able to follow that. Even once we send it, it takes many colleges 2 to 3 weeks to process what we have sent them. As you get closer to various deadlines, if you have questions or concerns, you can always email me and I can call them. Many of the admissions folks, I could just send a text to and find out where things are. So feel free to email me through all of that. So parents, I want to help you out here. I know that you have been speaking to your students about this for years. I think it's important that we also tell them again that they need to be careful of what they're posting on social media. Colleges are paying attention to what students are posting. College reps have friended kids on Facebook so they can send them information quickly, and it's very easy and it's cheap. By doing that, they can also see what else is on there as well. So it's important that kids are watching what they're posting on social media. So what can you expect from your high school counselors? Your counselors are going to submit all of the transcripts. They will submit the letters. If the teachers just uploaded them, we can send them as well. There are some schools out there that will require a letter from the counselor, like Case Western. If they need something like that, students need to let the high school counselor know. They will make sure they write what they have to write, and they will submit that as well. If you need assistance, you can always email me. You can always email all of them. All of them know how to work through all of these processes. There are a lot of colleges that are going to ask for grades after the holidays. They want to see how kids are doing during that senior year. And so we will send those as well. And we will also offer other meetings this fall. They're probably all going to be on Zoom. They're probably all going to be something I'm going to do on my own, and I'll send out to you. At the end of September, we will have a financial aid meeting. I will send that to you as well. So parents, it's important. You've got two different choices here. If you choose to be the helicopter parent, you're going to stress your child out. This is their process. Let them come to you and ask if they need help. I'm going to ask you to be the submarine parent, which is around, kind of stealth-like, all knowing of what's going on, but ready to swoop in when you're needed. Okay, that's my advice. These kids will be stressed out already just because of the way that the world is right now, but also as they're filling out all of these applications and thinking about what next year is going to look like, they're just nervous about it. And so we want to make sure that we support them, but we do it the right way. So understand deadlines. Deadlines are not the Hilliard soft ones. What I mean by that, if things are due on the 15th, like Ohio State's early action and scholarship deadline is November 15th. If you submit the application on November 16th, your application now is a regular application deadline, which is February 1, and that application will not be read until after February 2nd. It's important that everything is there on time. If they're sending ACT scores and SAT scores, make sure they are sent to Ohio State and are on and is in their system by the 15th. Students have until May 1st to send whatever school that they've chosen and some type of check to let them know, I'm coming to your school. Financial aid, this is a big part of this. There is a part here for the student to do. There's even a larger part for the parent. This financial aid cycle will not open up until October 1st of this school year, during your child's senior year. I will have a financial aid meeting the last week of September. I will send it out to all of you so you can watch it whenever you feel like it, okay? So I will give you all of the information you need to fill out all of that. Once the financial aid package, all of that information has been uploaded into the school systems, the various colleges that your kids get accepted to, they will send the financial package to your student. It's called a student aid report, a SAR. And that is where they list any kind of merit scholarships, any kind of financial aid based on need and things like that. And that's where you get that final cost of that school as well. So the FAFSA, it is the free application for federal student aid. Please, when you go to fill this out, go to fafsa.gov. That is the right website. FAFSA.com is not. Remember, it is free. FAFSA.com will charge you a fee to then move it over to FAFSA.gov for you. Please do not do that. So the federal government will take all of this information, and in 72 hours, they will come up with an EFC. And it's AKA what the federal government thinks your family can afford for college. I'm going to tell you now, you're not going to agree with it. I have one out of college. I have one in college. I'm painfully aware of what that looks like, and I did not agree with any of it. Okay, but that is what those colleges can use as you as a parent want to have any kind of conversations with them. They actually have a starting point. Now, when you fill out the FAFSA, the student as well as one of the parents, both of you need to have an FSA ID number, and you can get that at any time this fall. On every school's website, they have a net price calculator. It's within 2 clicks of the homepage. This will give you a more accurate understanding of what the true cost is going to be at that school. Now, there is one more financial aid document that a lot of the private schools use, a lot of schools in the South use as well. And it's called the CSS profile. We have a lot of students and a lot of parents that see this and they don't know what it is, and they just skip over it. If your school is asking for the CSS profile, you must fill it out. Okay? So the FAFSA will take you less than an hour. The CSS profile is going to take you a weekend. It is no fun at all. But they dive into the family assets much deeper at that point. So as you're looking at colleges, you've heard me talk in the past, don't get too caught up on how schools rank. I would be more interested in how do they rate, in terms of how do they rate in number of kids that are graduating and how many of those kids have jobs on the day that they are actually leaving school. How many of them were able to do internships and were able to do co-ops and things like that. I want to know how do they rate in giving kids all of the experiences they need. A lot of times rankings are based on things that do not impact students. Okay, so I would ask, how do they rate? So I also think it's important that the students have a college central place, have a place where everything they need for the application process, ACT, SAT, is in one place. In my house, we just made it the dining room because we never use it except for the holidays. So that room, we only use just for this. So now that everybody's out of the house, it's just another room that no one goes in. But I would use that, find a place that your kids can have everything organized. Do not make piles, make files, because once piles start to grow, things will get lost as well as buried. If you need me in the future for anything, feel free to email me, follow me on Twitter. I'm sending out information about scholarships, ACT, SAT, various meetings that I'm hosting. I've been hosting Sunday evening Zoom sessions for seniors that have questions about the application process. I will do those throughout the fall. It won't be every Sunday, but most of them I will be. And so I'm here for you as a parent. I'm here for your child to help them through this process. And then it's hard to believe in less than a year, your senior child is going to be moved in to college already. It's kind of crazy. If it's your first one, it's going to change the mojo of the house. It is. If it's your last one, wow, is it quiet. Whew, not quite used to it yet, but we're working through it. So again, if you need anything, feel free to ask. I would love to help. Have a great day. Bye-bye.